Hello everyone, it's Wacky Anime What If here to present you with What If Deku Was Angor Rot's Reincarnation, Chapter 1, Out with the Old and with the New. Currently, Izuku Midoriya is heading towards the UA entrance exam, and as he is, he bumps into Bakugo. And as they bump into each other, Bakugo immediately seeing that Izuku had the audacity to show up at UA to try to enroll into Class 1A or B to become a hero, it absolutely disgusted him. He felt revolted. He shoved Izuku, and as Izuku ended up about to hit the ground, he ended up putting one hand on the ground and lifted up his entire body and did a flip, landing right back onto his feet. He looked at Bakugo and says, "You really don't want to start with me. After all, I learned some new tricks, unlike you. Also, one thing with Pomeranians, their bite is much less worse than their bark. Basically, you're not shit." And as Izuku says this towards Bakugo and walks up towards him, Bakugo does a right hook towards Izuku. Izuku just smoothly dodges to the left. As Izuku does, he ends up ducking and punching Bakugo right in the stomach with his immense force, causing Bakugo to get the wind knocked out of him. He starts to cough up some saliva, and while Bakugo's in the air, Izuku just immediately just kicks him right in the balls, causing maximum damage. Bakugo just screams, "My balls!" as he holds his balls as he falls to the ground. Izuku decides to go for a second ball kick. He just kicks him in the balls again while he's on the ground. And meanwhile, there's a crowd around them filming the entire thing. As Bakugo sees some guy with the phone while he's on the ground, you can see a perfect angle of some guy on a phone just filming the whole thing. And he says, "Please don't post this." Meanwhile, the guy just says no and just posts it anyway. And meanwhile, when it gets posted, Bakugo's mom, who's in the grocery store, just looks directly at her social media on her phone and notices that she can see the video, and she bursts out laughing, although she does get pissed, and then she does call Inko, and Inko honestly sides with Izuku. Meanwhile, Izuku was just walking into the UA entrance exam, not even caring about the chaos outside, just sitting directly at her desk after getting a paper from the strange old man that's in front of him. His name is Mr. Herbert. He also handed him a suspicious popsicle. He handed everyone a suspicious popsicle. It had some white fluid on it. He said it was just cream, but cream isn't that sticky. Meanwhile, Izuku just ends up hearing Herbert say, "They're special popsicles." Immediately, Izuku just throws the popsicle away before just going directly towards his desk, sitting down and doing his test. And as he's doing his test, he notices the person beside him is perving on every girl that's in the vicinity, and this man has balls on his head. Izuku notices that they're great balls too. He notices the guy just looks at him and says, "I have a question for you. Ass or titties? Ass or titties?" And immediately he starts doing that. He just starts singing that song the entire time, while the teacher just says, "Hey there, fella. If you go down my basement, I gotta have a word with you. What you're doing is wrong." All of a sudden, Herbert just drags Mineta into the basement, and Mineta's just screaming, "Help! Help! It's my uncle all over again!" And as he's being dragged into the basement and the door's being locked, fucking Izuku just thinks, None of my business," as he just finishes his test, puts it up front. President Mike walks into the room like an hour later, collects the tests, and says, "All right, so we need security for that guy in the basement. He isn't even supposed to be a teacher here. I don't even know how he got in here again. It's like the fifth break-in UA. The security sucks here." Meanwhile, while President Mike is complaining about the security, Azuki was just walking towards the battle test area. Right when he walks there, he sees that there's desks. And right when he goes to the desks, he sits down, and he sits down next to a guy who has fucking engines on his legs, a rip-off Sonic wannabe. As Izuku says, "Hey, so what's your quirk?" While Izuku sees that Ida says, "Well, you see, these engines on my legs, well, they make me run really fast like a car. I am very fast, and I can basically destroy anyone in a few kicks." Meanwhile, he's boasting. Izuku is thinking, yeah, about to say, he's a rip-off Sonic then. Or Lightning McQueen. All of a sudden, Izuku just sees Ida as the Lightning McQueen for a few seconds before chuckling. Meanwhile, President Mike is at the front and says, "Alright, attention everyone. There are the rules to the battle test. Currently, you will have to walk into that fake city that's behind that gate over there." As he points to the left of him, and he says, "The thing is, you have to destroy 1-pointers, which are small robots, 2-pointers, which are medium-sized robots, and 3-pointers, which are relatively large robots. They all have machine guns, by the way. And since Nezu saw Code Geass, they're all actually nightmare frames, so yeah, enjoy that. They're also autopiloted, so." Meanwhile, Izuku thinks, "Oh shit, are the fucking rodent trying to kill us all?" As Izuku thinks about Nezu, all of a sudden, Nezu just sneezes while he's in his office, and he thinks, "I really hope that the school doesn't have that many deaths this year. After all, I'll have to clean that up if they do." Meanwhile, Izuku is just being briefed on the 0-pointer and says, "Oh, I'm definitely going to avoid that." That seems like a huge pain in the ass. And as they all line up to the gate, President Mike starts doing a countdown, but the gate starts opening. And he says, 5, 4, 3. And Izuku just says, "I don't have time for that," and starts running all the way into the fake city. And he sees a 1-pointer. He sees like 2 1-pointers and says, "Surprise, motherfucker," and just turns directly into Angor Rot. And as he does, he has his 2 daggers with him, and he stabs them both directly into the 2 1-pointers. And as he does, they turn into stone. And Nezu, seeing this from the teacher's lounge, ends up saying, "Holy shit, I guess you could say that they were stoners." Meanwhile, the teachers had to laugh because if they didn't, Nezu would fire them. As Izuku is slicing through all of the robots, everyone is complaining that he had a head start. Meanwhile, President Mike says, "Real heroes don't wait for countdowns," while Bakugo is just running off, exploding everything, and saying, "Adawa Akbar, motherfucker," as he starts running towards someone, and the guy says, "Oh shit, hey, you know that's really close to me," while Bakugo says, "I wasn't aiming for the robot, dipshit," while the guy says, "Oh shit, what did I do?" While Bakugo says, "I'm just getting rid of the competition." Bro, the guy had the most horrified face. Meanwhile, Izuku is just slicing through many robots, and then he sees a fucking Night Frame with a machine gun running towards him, shooting at him, and he says, "Oh shit." He starts to run and dodge all the bullets, but one of them hits his leg, and he holds his leg and says, "Ah, you motherfucker." As he goes to the ground, he pulls out one of the living dolls that he has, and he plants it directly into the ground as it grows a cement golem. And as it does, the cement golem just runs directly towards the Night Frame, wanting to have beef with it, but the Night Frame just like shoots holes in it. The actual golem still fights, though. He punches the Night Frame directly in the face. And as Izuku is watching this, he says, "Go, go Golem, you can do it." He just starts cheering for the Golem and just starts watching it like a TV show. Meanwhile, everyone else is just like, this kid has mental problems, I'm guessing. Meanwhile, Izuku says, "Hey, you guys, want to see a magic trick?" As he turns towards some people who are just hunting 2-pointers. One guy says, "Yeah, sure." All of a sudden, Izuku just slaps the back of his head and his eyes pop out and he catches them. He says, "See, ta-da!" Meanwhile, that guy just fucking pisses himself and says, "Oh shit, that's terrifying. Oh, put them back in. That's disgusting." Meanwhile, Izuku just puts the fucking eyes back in and says, "Man, people are such downers nowadays." While that's happening, Nezu all of a sudden just says, "You know what? I'm gonna see if this kills anyone." He presses the fucking button directly in front of him that was supposed to release a zero pointer, but Nezu released false information. It wasn't a zero pointer, it was a fucking Gundam. As a Gundam appeared, Izuku sees this and says, "Oh, what the fuck? No, no, we're fucked. We are so screwed." And as Izuku is having a whole fucking panic attack, everyone else is like, "Oh, Nezu has too much time on his hands." Even the teachers are like, "Are you trying to kill everyone? Are you trying to fucking take over the world? What is your main goal, rat man?" Meanwhile, Nezu just pets a cat that he has in his lap and says, "My goal is beyond your imagination." As he looks like a whole ass supervillain. We cut back to Izuku as he's trying to run from the Gundam, as it's trying to squat him like a fucking bug. And Izuku is running the fuck away and notices Uraka, the gravity girl who vomited like 2 seconds ago on Ida's Jordans when she overused her ability. Ended up getting trapped under rubble, and Izuku, being the kind man he is, runs towards her, removes the rubble, and says, "Run, bitch, run!" Meanwhile, when he says this, Oraka says, "I can't run, my leg's damaged." Izuku's just running, thinking, "That's a you problem." But then turns around and runs back towards her. It just picks her up and runs away and says, "You're lucky that I'm a nice guy." Meanwhile, Oraka says, You were about to leave me, though." While Nezu stops the Gundam and the test ends, Izuku can already say that he probably passed. And as he leaves the UA entrance exam and goes home, he opens the door and sees his mom. His mom looks at him and says, "So, how do you think you did?" Ezekiel says, "I think I did wonderful." And as he turns back into his human form, he thinks, "Oh yeah, I got too comfortable in that form. I'm really glad that I learned how to turn back into a human form. Although I still don't know what this is exactly. This definitely isn't a quirk, though," is what Izuku thinks in his head. Meanwhile, Inko is just in the kitchen trying to make a pizza, but all of a sudden the fucking pizza just catches fire and she's trying to like put it out, but the fire's just getting bigger. Izuku just walks into the kitchen and says, "Damn, who let her cook?" And he just gets the fire extinguisher that they had on standby and just fucking extinguishes it and says, "Just let me cook." Let me cook. He starts to actually cook some spaghetti. As he cooks some spaghetti, he puts some spaghetti on some plates, on two plates, and says, "Want some spaghetti?" As he hands her some spaghetti, she ends up eating the spaghetti in one fucking gulp. Like, it was gone in an instant. Izuku was just like, "Oh, nah. Are you Miss Pac-Man or something?" And all of a sudden, Inko just says, "No, no, don't be silly. Miss Pac-Man's next door." And she just opens the fucking blinds in the window in the kitchen, and it reveals fucking Miss Pac-Man with some movers moving in all of her power-ups into her house. That's right next to them on the left side of their house. And as Izuku sees this, he says, "I didn't know Miss Pac-Man was real." And Inko says, "Oh, yeah. Apparently some little girl had a quirk that could manifest video game characters, and she manifested Miss Pac-Man." And immediately Izuku says, "Oh, wait, what else does she manifest?" Immediately, Inko says, well, she also manifested a few major threats, such as Dio from JoJo's." Meanwhile, Izuku says, "Oh, so we have a time-stopping, probably gay vampire roaming about." Meanwhile, Inko says, "Yeah, Also, if you hear "we make sure you run." Izuku says, "Noted." Izuku walks up to his room, and as he does, he opens the door, and he goes to his bed and just collapses on it. Izuku just wants a me day. He just thinks, yeah, I don't even want to get up right now. After all, I finally got into UA in a few days. Also, I should probably start training, but I'll worry about that later. And as Izuku is about to go to sleep, all of a sudden, he hears from his closet, "Hey, we need to talk." And as Izuku hears of that voice from his closet, he says, "Hey, you should probably get out of the closet. I mean, it's 2024. No one's gonna judge you, man." And while Izuku says this mockingly, the man who's in the closet just walks out and says, "All right then, I'm you, bitch." While Izuku just says, "Okay, who are you exactly?" While he says, "I'm your past life. I'm Angor Rot. Occasionally, whenever you sleep, you'll be having some visions of me. Eventually, you won't be able to shift back to being human. But you'll be a lot stronger. Trust me." That's all I wanted to say. And also, you'll be less you and more me. Although I won't be in control, we'll both be merged together. Until we meet next time. All of a sudden, Angor Rot just vanished into fucking black smoke, while Zuko just says, "Okay, that wasn't creepy at all," and he tries to go back to sleep, but Angor Rot's words echoed in his mind as he realized that he might not be him anymore. After who knows how much time, he doesn't know how much time he'll have left, and that scares him. But he managed to get to sleep eventually. And that's where we end the what if. I hope you all enjoyed, and if you did, make sure you destroy that subscribe button and make sure you annihilate that like button. And goodbye, everyone. Have a wonderful day.